Okay, so this area is interesting. I'm trying to remember the streets though. So I noticed that uh, when okay, Asian guy, white Tesla, mad at me for taking walks, mad at me for getting exercise, just like going to the gym with my family. You suffer from mental illness if you go to gyms and be healthy. It's not healthy for you to go to gyms and be healthy. Okay, two whites here. This street right here this area has always been extremely aggressive. We're by a 7-Eleven here. I think it's like Irwin in Topanga Canyon or Oxnard, Topanga Canyon. Now, I want you to see the amount of white car groupings because when this guy said you touched my car and the pairs of white groupings started worldwide, this area was the first I noticed to really get extremely bad with the groups of whites. And it is windy. You can see the drone. Is interesting because this is a different drone. This is a Neo 1. Normally, by the 7-Eleven right here, they have groups in this corner here backwards. And the reason it's in that corner there is because if you're driving down Topanga Canyon here, here's the mall, old Topanga Mall, you're going to see it. And they're going to try to lure you in and get reaction. Now, this is now worldwide, but remember, it started as something else, if you understand what I mean. Okay, it started by 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, 12. Okay, so two reds. Look at the reds across from each other. That's one of the tactics across. And it really has to be cleared out to see that tactic. And technically, you could say same with the whites here, but, how do you prove it? You can only prove it by statistical numbers. Okay, so two whites here. For years, two whites by the door at this place here with that red area of the, I got to do this with 10-minute flights, right? So I got to try to narrate 100 million things. Okay, two whites here. So why is this area also fighting the sunset? I don't know. But what I can tell you is that my grandparents used to visit us from Ohio. My three whites here, and I want you to look at the spread area. They could park here. He could space it out. But he chooses, like I stated on all the videos, two whites there. I think I already got these. Oh shit, the winds. The Neo 1 here can't handle the wind nearly as well. Unless they go manual mode, but then okay. Okay, so my grandparents down this way used to come for summers. My grandpa Joe and Gertrude or whatever, and visit. So maybe they're hinting because remember everything's about trying to create the appearance of obsession and well, Kevin, why? And then if you answer what you think, okay, two whites here, two more whites and whites, three whites here. So this is blatantly obvious. This is one of those areas that you can't dispute this. Okay, unless those are grays, but the other ones are whites. Okay, now it's not just those streets, and my grandparents would have been closer to this area anyways. Two whites here, one is a camper. And my grandparents would have been something like this place here or something. Okay, now it's completely irrelevant normally. But Kevin, answer the question. Why would people be doing this? Because you're mad about... Kevin suffers from obsession. See, we told you so. Okay, it's a trap. It's a way to... Three whites here. It's a way to get you talking. What is gang stalking? A method of making people look crazy, correct? That's what gang stalking is. Try to eradicate people by making... What is Charles Sean Dinsey doing? He's trying to make people look crazy to eradicate or execute. He'll ask me questions about going to special schools. One where I kissed the black girl. Okay, Science Guys Day Camp. Or T1 class, whatever. And then he'll lock you away. But nothing's really about anything but trying to get reactions to make someone look crazy. So this area is actually... Now, if we look in the parking lot here, let's just see what we see. I'm not going to waste my time because I'm so limited on battery here. I'm just going to go to the side streets, but there are a good amount of things in the complexes as well, and when this starts, it's a way to try to lure you to set you up for breaking and entering type things, or trespass type things that is originally how it starts. Okay, and that will link to Eric Christensen, and also 1991, the t-shirt, he's hunting me to have me killed, with San Diego police over, and things that you're going to say, I don't get it. Why are people hunting to kill you over t-shirts and smiling at women and blinking and yawning? Well, because it's a justification to kill. It's not, when are you allowed to hunt and kill people or slaughter people or whatever? You're not, ever. Okay, so, but they're using it with the police, and that's where it gets blatantly obvious that the psychology community and police are trying to justify hunting and killing, making people look crazy. 3 whites here. 2 whites here. Well, he's crazy, so I'm allowed to hunt him and kill him. He suffers from, so I'm allowed 2 whites here. Let's look here. Let's just... Where am I here? Oh, this is where the pizza cookery... And everything's closer to forwards in this little spot here. Oh! Okay, we got a few... I noticed here I was flying this lot on those other batteries, but one of the things I missed here when I started leaving, because sometimes it's easier to see on the ground, and sometimes it's easier to see from an aerial position. Okay, look by the AT&T store here. Some of the more obvious. 2 grays, left corner. Look at how this drone handles the wind compared to the 2 grays, and this gray here appeared after I left a few minutes ago. 3 grays, I think his headlights are on, showing the and he's actually, that one backwards is a gray too, and then 2 whites here backwards. And the reason I kind of came back this direction is I was leaving and I saw these and I said, God, I want to do another flight because these are definable. Okay, and that's the AT&T store. Now this is going to switch and fluctuate and rotate worldwide minute by minute with these red cars clumping together, or pairs of 2s backwards, red cars, or, okay, right, 2 black cars here, backwards together. Okay, so 2 blacks, not just whites, but 2 blacks. And now you're going to analyze, well, what's going on in the people's brains? You know, is this telepathy? No, obviously not. Okay, so they're told to do certain things directed at a certain person, and they're told worldwide. Okay, so if you see Kevin, or do this in case Kevin leaves his house, example, perfect timing, clump your red cars in pairs of 2s together, clump your blue cars, create patterns, direct it when you talk to Kevin, verbally harass him with mimic mental illness tactics, and let him know that you're spying through the Wi-Fi hacking and all that on his web surfing, and this goes way deeper than just Wi-Fi hacking. This goes into NSA level privacy violations all the way down to 1994, still going on today, which I have to spend all day and night trying to stop them. So remember that I could be dating women and getting jobs and starting companies and making money and having social lives and all the things that everyone else is allowed to do, but instead I have to spend every waking minute and what little money I make trying to stop a worldwide murder operation from daily death threats and verbal harassments and whistling that you're a whistleblower from rotating strangers, pairs of 2s in the corner there backwards together. And these are just random, I'm just doing random flights here and picking random locations, and this is now worldwide because the police don't think that what they're doing is wrong because they don't like someone. See, and it's a trickle-down theory, trickle-down psychological warfare. It starts from the family with their police and judicial friends. Mike Huntley, we're using the judicial system against you. Tell everyone you know, like those federal criminal Google blogs of Yuccas from the Warner Center Met. Kevin's a violent, paranoid schizophrenic. If you see him, call the police or help me remove him from society. But the initial dialogues are coming from people with authority, police officers and psychology community, that Kevin's crazy and you need to help us stalk and hunt him and remove him from society and incarcerate him for life and put him in mental facilities or jail cells. Not for any reason, but someone's hate and fear, like Adolf Hitler. And this is coming from a Jewish family who does what Adolf Hitler does and are worse than it, the worst of the worst and worse than anything out there. they make what Adolf Hitler did look like nothing, like child's play, right? Wait, and don't link that to a movie reference. Okay, because that's the other thing I have to deal with, is every single conversation worldwide is twisted and contorted out of context, and then Kevin said this, and everyone now do this because he's crazy, and this is coming from strangers, not... Okay, pairs of T's backwards on these business parked vehicles. Okay, but you could still see why do they choose to park that way. Once again, some of these I already did. 2 whites there. 2 whites. I'm running low on battery. 2 whites. So if I walk up and I give you a peace sign, normally you would say, cool, that guy's cool. He's relaxed. 2 whites here. 2 more whites there. So there's 3 or 4 pairs just in my view. And now I gotta land. Okay, so if I walk up and give you a peace sign or I'm friendly, the reaction will be that you threatened someone or fucking with someone. And that is not because... That is from disinformation. Not me doing anything wrong. But... worldwide, the family and the police and government setting the stage to worldwide anonymous groups. Friar Street, I think, so that they can turn the world against me based on poisoning the well and the Perlman's poisoning the well. Okay, we are in the Woodland Hills area by the PetSmart. The PetSmart used to be extremely aggressive, getting cat food with the people following and the cars and all that. So let's sort of take a look in the local area. Also, Starbucks, a black manager. We don't want you here at the Starbucks. This is all Victory. And first, I'm going to sort of note what I first see is groups of 2 white cars there. They're forward, so they're not obvious, and you're going to say, so it's a coincidence. And, it could be amongst all the things they're doing. And this area is actually a lot closer to normal than I'm used to seeing. We've even had harassments and threats by Allied Universal saying no soliciting while trying to get cat food and things like that. And then obviously what happens is they won't stop provoking you with the verbal and especially the cashiers. Okay, it's not just cars, as I explain on so many videos. Now we have some sort of randomy backwards. Now remember that I'm not saying that cars don't park backwards, but it sort of defies... you're spending a lot more energy most of the time. Okay, there's actually pairs of 2s sort of trying to get close here backwards, and we have nothing obvious yet. Okay, so 2, 3, but 2 grays backwards there. And then I remember, I've been in a long time, but going to Bevmo, the verbal harassments, and then, the cars. And they sort of strategically increase the amount of attacks on the places they don't want me going in the, I guess, name of mentally bashing your skull in control. Well, we don't want you going to the Bevmo or a liquor store, so all liquor stores worldwide or all coffee shops. And what happens is, in the beginnings, ironically, this lot looks a lot closer to normal. Let's go out this way to where the Starbucks is, and the gym. Remember that Rody Morales was my gym manager at World's Gym. When Mike Huntley said, Kevin, let's sign up to the gym, and I had been working out on and off before that, but still, he wanted to lure me to the gym by my house with lots of models and porn stars all playing the game that Kevin's weird and he's a stalker, and Rody Morales latches on, and Rody Morales is in the middle of an investigation with LAPD with some guy that killed someone. Okay, so we have a little reception-y. Okay, 3s backwards together here. So this is the gym. This is LA Fitness. Okay. So as things appear to be a little bit closer to normal, but not really, you're going to look at the groupings, 3s there, and then there's actually 3 whites. And so if we see the more normalized, how things used to be before 2011, most of the things forwards, you're going to, in that example, you see those threes when most of those things are forwards. Then we come here and we got pairs of twos backwards. We actually have three backwards, but they're sort of spread a little, but they want to be in those groupings, which I get so much of. And then you sort of see a red cluster of red, correct? Okay, so now if we look around just to sort of, we don't see any reds anywhere else. They all sort of ended up right in this center section, right? Okay, so, and amongst that we have four, actually we have a lot more. We have backwards, we have sort of some groupings, threes backwards, and then we sort of have some randomly, like he's by himself backwards, and then but you can see that these clumps of reds don't really make much sense. So this is Victory and Canoga. And once again, we're already going through battery, like, so let's speed things up. And today things are a little less obvious, I guess, to me anyways. Okay, pairs of threes backwards here in this corner, and if you look around, there is a white here. He's backwards by himself. But remember, 2011, most of the people didn't want to exert the energy to park stupid, or, like, I can understand if you park backwards because you want to get out of somewhere really quick or something, like, but to do it in like, I have some photos and videos of people parking backwards in spots that you'd have to do like a 10-point turn to get out of it, and they're in strategic locations by the Starbucks on Topanga and Ventura, where Garrett threatens my life in 2005. What was the threat? It's your transgressions while mentally. Okay, so threes backwards here in this corner, and then we're by a Jamba Juice here where black employees used to work, and they would get really mad at me buying Jamba Juices. Okay, so because, I'm ruining their lives by giving them money and relaxing. Okay, with the no relaxing for you nigger death threats. And then pairs of twos backwards here. Okay, you can see how it's sort of everything's closer to normal. Then pairs of twos backwards. And this is where the double horn honking started, I don't know, 15 years ago. You push the alarm horn 2 or 3 times or more if they see me. Groups of whites, most likely. And pairs of twos, once again, backwards. And pairs of twos sort of not directly next to each other, backwards. And remember, I can do this all across the U.S., okay, and probably world. We don't want you leaving your house cage. Okay, so the double horn honkings, I hit the audio record button on my recording phone, 2 pairs of twos backwards. So this is the Starbucks where the black hostile, and the groups of her friends following me home, throwing eggs at me while on a bicycle. The black manager there, the Starbucks Victory and Canoga. Okay, all because I kissed a black girl at 8 years old. You explain that to me. Pairs of twos by the J Crew here, and we even had people from the rack, girls in sequential groups, employees from the rack following me and hinting about women's chests. Okay, so, and working angles. Okay, and we even had, I believe, porn stars, Nina Ellie following me there in hopes that I talked to her so she could say I'm stalking her. And unfortunately, we're running low on battery, so we're going to have to do a second battery for this location, I think. So this entire, so the horn honkings, there were like probably hundreds I had in like 1 hour audio recorded. And we'll just, since I'm going to start to fly back now, let's maybe get some elevation and look at the white patterns, and see if we see those, like, pairs of twos, like forwards. Okay. So if we're about 300 feet up here, let's see what we see. We see groupings of, look, this is interesting, right? 3 whites, probably 4 there, 3 whites there, 2 whites there, three whites there. That's interesting, right? Let's sort of check out this side as the battery is starting to get low. Threes, I see twos and threes. That's interesting. So the white groupings, it's a little windy today. Let's look at the gym area here. Three whites there. Those things you'd never focus on, right? Towards the edge here, two whites. I think one forwards, one backwards. Two whites towards the edge here, forwards. And none of these things you would actually look at ever unless you were the target. See, it took them 29 years. Two whites there, forward. Okay, so you would never look at these things. You would be like, unless, that's how it got worldwide. Unless it was provoking it, like, we can't get him to react. We can't put him in a hypersensitive state. God damn it. Well, you work on him. You work on him. You work on him. God damn it. We can't get him in a hypersensitive state. And it's exponentially growing since 5 years old. Okay. And so you get the idea. Oh. So this is the first time, 12% battery. It's actually, it's starting to descend by itself. I think. I still have some, battery low landing. Okay, so we're going to sort of continue out here by the Best Buy area as the sun is starting to set. And then we'll sort of just finish this. Okay, so, remember this is every supermarket, every restaurant, every public place, almost every human interaction. And, so if I were going to Best Buy, we'd have some of the verbal mimics, and as they harass me, they would go on the internet and say, now repeat this statement to Kevin from place to place to place to place until he goes, I know what's going on, and then starts swinging for his life, and that's the motive. Okay, to incite violence with passive-aggressive psychological coordinated terror tactics. Okay, look at to set up and remove from society with police, LAPD, worldwide police, worldwide groups since 5 years old. Okay, for no reason other than hate, because there can't be a reason. Okay, so two backwards here where everything else is sort of normal, and that's important to see the pattern, not in a jumbled mess, but where you can really see it, right? Okay, and ironically, I'll just note the two pickups by each other. They could or could not be. We're at the Best Buy in Woodland Hills. And surprisingly, there is sort of one of their tactics I noticed is by the door, they usually have a higher rate of backwards. Okay, and you can sort of look at other things like two blacks, three black cars back together there, which could or could not be. You can't, how do you know without verbal confessions of how they're doing it and why they're doing it and who's it directed at and okay, right, and what is your tactic list you're giving out to everyone? Do this now to Kevin, do that now to Kevin worldwide. Okay, so some spread backwards. And then as we come back here, there's a grouping of four backwards together. So you'll notice that there is a predominant and extremely aggressive amount of groupings of not... Example, if parking backwards was a thing, it would be random. It wouldn't be grouped. And that applies to all the tactics. And let's go back here. Back to this shopping center with a Starbucks. It's obviously not just Starbucks, but the predominant amount of hatred from the black community and the No Relaxing for You Nigger worldwide campaign is a coffee shop, starts at coffee shops. After Mike Huntley's death threats 2001, we're using the judicial system against you. 2004, Starbucks employee Garrett's threats with the attacks. It's your transgression. So, example, you committed a crime, we're going to hunt you and kill you. And Mike Huntley trying to get me, like guilt by association, I'm getting you to hang out with the guy, Roddy Morales, who's working with LAPD to catch someone who had killed someone. And most of it is like scare tactics, like we're trying to make you look paranoid. Mike Huntley's statement, world of paranoia. However, when they can't get the reaction they want, it then escalates in the next set of frame jobs and lies and smears and tactics. And okay, so, and you're gonna say, but maybe you haven't gotten what you wanted because Kevin's a really good person. Well, that's the problem. You're too good of a person, so we need to execute you. Okay, it's not gonna make sense. Okay, so we have some randomy backwards here, and we're back at this shopping center, and some groupings sort of, they're not together, but pairs of threes. Two of them are together, one's not. Okay, backwards. And then I guess we could sort of come back here and see what's going on. And remember, this is now worldwide, but there was a point where 80-90% of the cars parked forwards, and then they saw me go into public places, and you would come out and see them escalate, and especially Starbucks and the casino where it starts, and I watched it sort of escalate, and especially with black people sitting in their cars staring at me in anger for going to coffee shops with LAPD, that us dirty Jews don't ever go to coffee shops. And then of course the family plays stupid games. Well, do people really go to coffee shops and stay there? It's like, I don't know. Why are there Wi-Fi charging pads on the table? Because they don't go there? Because they don't want them there? Okay, right? Because everyone's allowed there, but Kevin Perlman, and that applies to every place worldwide. So now you're going to say, so why is this guy being discriminated against and hunted with an entire planet of child rapists since 5? Well, they're just going to keep making up lies. It's your behavior. You rested your feet on a chair. Interesting that this complex is closer to normal. Oh, what do you mean low battery? Or 55%. Okay. I'm a little nervous now. I think it's just the transmission interface is hiccuping. Some groupings of whites backwards here. I'm sort of 3 whites, a little spread, but 3 whites. I'm sort of a little nervous once it said battery low and it's not, because I'm like, shit, maybe I should fly over areas where I can land. Okay, so we're sort of back at the gym here, and then I think it was just a signal interference. Towards the edge there, white car backwards, and then what's going to happen is you're going to start looking at every car fucking worldwide, right? And that's what they want. Okay, so if I were to stay here and see these two, example, the gray and the white one backwards together, pairs of twos, and a lot of these people are arriving, like the guy under, and see how he's parking backwards. But guess what? He would exert a lot less energy if he parked forward. So why are they exerting the energy? It's actually directed at someone, because people want to do things that exert the least amount of energy, not exert as much energy accomplishing nothing, if you understand what I'm saying. So they're doing it, so 4 whites right there, so they're doing it all forwards, but they're doing it for a reason, because everyone does do things for a reason, unless they're crazy. Okay, so 4 backwards here. I already got some of these, but remember, we have cars showing up, going to the gym here. And Jamba Juice area here has always been extremely aggressive, and with the security companies. Okay, I never really mentioned that. The security companies, Allied Universal building is right here, one of them. So they were coming out harassing me there for trying to get cat food for my cat. Okay, so, and then, they're going to change the story. Each thing, the story is going to change into something else as a cover-up lie. Out of hate. Okay, so this green one I think is new. We have the pairs of groups and threes backwards. And so you're going to see how people, and 2 whites backwards there. And so you can see how people are sort of arriving and leaving, but the tactics skip to the next person, and the next person worldwide. 3s backwards there. And then the battery is starting to get low. I see a red grouping here. And once again, so let's get some altitude. Okay, we have a huge amount of reds here. Now, what I want to look at here is what does the rest of the parking lot look like? And we're starting to really get low here. I don't know if those reds were here earlier or not. I don't recall seeing them, but I was more focused on the white groupings. And now if I look around, let's see, we got to fly back. We do have some spread groupings, red groupings, but this seems to be sort of a dense area. And then this way, I don't see any reds, and ironically, I don't see much reds in the Best Buy. And let's go back, because once again, we are extremely slow. It's a little windy. This battery and this thing drains. I mean, I watched the stupid thing drain like a motherfucker. We're in normal mode. We're not even in identical flight times. 9 to 10 minutes, and we're getting 11 without winds. And okay, so if we look around here at the reds, we do have some spread reds here, and then we don't have enough battery to see who showed up, because what happens is they see me arrive, whether they're markings on the car, signs on the car or not, and they go crazy, and we have to hurt him, right? We have to. Okay. Okay, so we are.
Police reported 27 seconds ago. 9/10 of a mile ahead on US 101S.
Random stop here.
Limit 40 at report location.
Shut up, thing. Okay, so we're at the next random stop here. We're by an Amazon in Woodland Hills, Amazon Fresh, and this is where Pizza Cookery, the original Pizza Cookery, used to be. I'm trying not to get too sidetracked in some of the circumstantial minute-by-minute worldwide information. Okay, so like every parking lot worldwide, we're gonna see a whole bunch of things here, and then if I go into any of these stores, just like everywhere else worldwide, there will be verbal mimic tactics and terror tactics and all sorts of psychological warfare tactics, with Charles Sean Dinsey of LAPD, who doesn't magically know. Let's just that a worldwide terror extermination operation to make someone look crazy is going on, even though it's worldwide. So whoever you are, you have to know, especially my own family. Okay, so Pizza Cookery, I don't want to get too sidetracked. Pizza Cookery, groups of whites probably. Pizza Cookery, okay, two blues together, which, may or may not be, but you kind of know they are at this point. Okay, Mike Huntley, 2001, or around there. Let's go to get some lunch at the company want to start with me, Signity Services. Let's go to Pizza Cookery. He starts belittling a waitress, acting like a dick, through eyes. And then, of course, the world's told it's Kevin, or guilt by association. Okay, so this also happens in 95 with Professor Nick, photography professor, and Chad Bowers, University of Colorado, restaurant The Sink, black girl, I'm as nice as can be. I say something very friendly, and she says something like, I don't have time for it today, or something like that. Don't know who she is. Kevin harasses black people. Okay, that goes all the way down to 8 years old, kissing a black girl. Okay, so you're doing very friendly, positive things. Kevin did this. Everyone hunt him and kill him. Remove him from the way he's treating people. He's lashing out in anger and rage. Okay, let's get back to focus. Okay, these lots are a little bit less today. What's the word I'm looking for? Grouped. The tactics are more fragmented than grouped. However, I do see probably white groupings. Two whites there, 3 whites there. I don't see as much as three whites, 3 backwards together. I don't see as much groupings of the backwards. I see more dispersed, which looks more random. But remember that in 2011, if you were to drive through this lot, it would be some of my other videos, like in Tarzana, where 90% of the parking lot is normal. Okay, so what changed? Well, I can tell you what changed. I parked backwards once, and we're gonna look what Kevin did now. He's trolling us. Okay, this is where the pizza cookery, the original pizza cookery, was Old New York Deli. And I'm already 70% on the battery on this thing. Is that battery timing? The flight times are driving me crazy. Okay, so let's just go fast. Because I want to go. It's harder to read today. Now you're saying who would look for these things? Well, someone that watched it start. The guy that before they were doing the cars backwards, they're actually doing fake license plate covers. Okay, so that was huge around 2004 or something. And there was a point where I was driving down Hollywood Boulevard and like 70% of the cars on the side of the road, all the way the entire Hollywood Boulevard, had fake license plate cover. Like, I don't know, the dealer, like advertisement covers. Okay, and I was like, can you explain this? Is everyone buying new cars? Pairs of twos backwards here in the corner, 295, 294 there, whatever. Possibly employees. Pair of two blacks here. This is a gym. You always know it's extremely aggressive at gyms. However, everything is so saturated now, you can no longer... In the beginning, I could go here, and the cars would be all forwards, and then two would be backwards together, and they would see me, and like sitting in my car or whatever, and it would increase, okay, exponentially, just like the worldwide verbal harassments and the clothing color harassments. And if I stay still, they might all show up. Like if I'm there for an hour, they might show up in black pants, purple shirt, or the clothing color tactics. Okay, like hundreds of them. Okay, so pairs of two groupings towards the edge here with this black one backwards. And these are things that you could easily prove today is happening if you want to take the time to prove it. Like and not very long, like an hour. Okay, I think we might have had a double horn honking behind me. Okay, two whites backwards. And this is what, the newer Topanga Mall. Mike Huntley has a problem with me going on malls. He was saying weird thing about malls. I think he's talking about like lions and maulings and his double meaning things, his schizophrenia tactics with my family. Okay, hinting that I'm a lion and people are in danger. Just weird, the weirdest shit they do that are jokes. They're jokes, not jokes. See, saying it might be a joke. What happened? Pairs of twos backwards under the tree. High wind, that's what happened. Okay, which would explain the battery drain, but it's still, this thing's so... the batteries are so fucking small to begin with. Okay, so this is the Topanga Mall. I'm about to head back here. Winds don't seem too high. I could do this worldwide. So remember that okay, we are at, I don't know what these buildings are, but my family sent me to a hypnotist when I was a kid here, working some freaky angles, trying to get false course confessions, scare me into confessions, loss of control confessions, I'll call them. Okay, three whites sort of there together and forwards, and I'll call them loss of control because what happens is you were talking to some guy and you were not, you're being hypnotized, you weren't conscious. And therefore, here comes Ron Perlman. You know what you did. Hint, hint. See, now you got to confess because you supposedly told someone, and that's the types of things my sick family does, right? And you're like, dude, why are you dicking with my life? Of course, you don't really understand it because it's so warped and demented to begin with that who would even think of these things? Well, people with psychology degrees, my family. Okay, two grays. Notice how the two backwards here are grays? And you're going to say, yeah, well, Kevin, there's 100,000 cars backwards. And I'm going to say, you're right, except it starts at one point. Okay, it wasn't like this. Okay, a red in the left corner here, a red and white. Late in the last week, they've started up with red and white type of tactics. And a lot of these have to do with things they put on the internet directed at me, or when they're violating my, hacking into my Wi-Fi, crippling my Wi-Fi firmware with deauthentication attacks, and applications like Marauder, but this technology like Marauder and beacon spoofing. Okay, so 2 white groupings forwards or more as well. I'm doing this really fast with low battery. Marauder attack, beacon spoofing, Wi-Fi deauthentication attacks have been around since the beginning of time, but there's some newer ESP32 cheap applications, 2 whites there, that they're building for, anyone can, with the right, go to GitHub and you install the right GitHub firmware or app, and boom, you're deauthenticating people's Wi-Fi access points. And so it's really easy now. They crippled like 6 Wi-Fi access points, and still I put in a Linux based distro one where I can monitor better and lock down. You get the idea. That everything is by design to mask everything else. We are at Topanga Mall here. Sun just set. We're losing light. We're short on time. Let's just see what we see around here. This area used to be extremely aggressive. I can't tell you, but let's talk about reality here. That this worldwide events example. Let's just could or could not be 2 whites, 2 blacks, 2 whites. Let's focus on the things that are blatantly more obvious, because you're not going to be able to 2 whites. These are all forwards. Actually, these are backwards, right? Those are backwards, 2 whites backwards. Let's focus on the things that are statistically more unheard of, that's more obvious, correct? Like 2 cars backwards together, 2 blue cars backwards. So remember, Charles Sean Dinsey is definitely behind this and covering up Chief Michael Moore's community policing operations. 3 whites there, one pickup backwards with it? It's hard to see with the... No, it has a black hood. Surprisingly, this parking lot is closer to normal than I would expect. 3 groupings of 3 whites there, forwards. Which way to go here? Well, we fight battery power and time. Let's go here by the social area, little restaurants and kind of sort of bars, but I don't know if you'd really want to go here for social. So pairs of 2s backwards in the corner here, gray and a black one. 2 pairs of 2s. There's actually a third to the side. Pairs of 2s backwards, a gray and a black one, and then a blue thing there backwards with them. It's funny because if you're with me, I could be like, hey, why did those 2 red cars just pull behind me? Which the last battery, actually, there's a second car guy waiting in a red car behind a red car, waiting behind me because he saw me and wanted to. Now, why are they doing this? Because they want reactions. They want to make someone look like a violent paranoid schizophrenic and eradicate them at all costs, because they don't want their dirty little secrets when I was 5 years old coming out with my sick family. That's why. They're child rapists. And when I say child rapists, I'm talking about mental rape like this, trying to make it look like I conform to media, to 5-year-olds, and all sorts of sick shit. So you would never even conceive wanting to do to your child. You have to be one sick, fucking demented fuck. So 3 whites there, 1 backwards, has lights on. These 2 whites backwards, actually 3 whites backwards, 2 together, 1 between that, 1 forwards. And then, we're just randomly seeing what's out here. Remember, this is worldwide now. I'll say now. It didn't start. It started 3 backwards together here. Hard to see with the wind. I'll say groups of whites here, but I don't know what I'm looking at here. But 1, 2, 3, 4 groups of whites. Then it sort of goes random a little, and then 2 more whites together here. And it's funny because I'm always focused on the 2 whites on the side of the highways, but I'm never always really focused on in the parking lots, the 2 white groupings, until now, going up like 400 feet and going, way, look at this pattern that's clearly not random events, but has to happen with internet-based communication, which is really why my brother Jason Perlman wanted me to see the internet so bad in '94 when it first came to be. And saying go to iFriends and all these other websites, and then working with the people at iFriends and things like that. This drone does not do well in the wind. This is the Neo 1. Okay, so we have maybe 10 mile per hour winds, 5 to 15. I'm gonna say I don't think they're 15, but the Neo 2 there has no problem. The battery drains a little faster, but it cuts right through it. Although my flight times seem to be very similar. Okay, so 2 whites there, 3 whites here. I think I already did some of these. Let's go this way. We're at 58% battery. 2 whites on the edge here, but remember that 2 whites here. But remember that that's 2 whites here. It's harder to define the conspiring dialogues, I guess you could say. Hey, do this in case Kevin Perlman leaves his house. Red's trying to get together. Okay, 2 cars backwards everywhere you go is not normal behavior. It's provable, easy to prove it's not normal behavior. Okay, 3 whites in the corner forwards. So obviously the 3 whites there with 3 whites, 3 whites, 3 whites, 2 whites, 3 whites. That's not normal behavior. But it's harder to prove than 2 whites backwards, 2 whites backwards, 2 Jeeps backwards, 2 blue cars backwards. Okay, 2 whites there. I like to go by the edge of the road because they like to see these 2 backwards here by the edge of the road. And then there's actually a lot more. There's 1, 2, a group of 4, a group of 2, and 1 by himself, and obviously it's going to change and fluctuate as people arrive. But why are they all parking the same way? Is there some voice in their head, like the movie, what was that movie where everyone became like army clones? I don't remember what it's called. Okay, so by the edge, they like to do backwards by the edge, especially pairs of 2s and 3s, and right here, 2s, 3s, backwards. Once again, we have a red grouping. I want to sort of stop here, and then we have one of those as reds backwards, I think, under the tree. Why did they all congregate there? Okay, and this is a spot, I think we have a gas station car wash. And this is on the outskirts of the mall, so they're not shoppers. They're not shoppers. They want to be there for a reason, and they want to be sending sort of idea reference messages right there. Now remember, this is every fucking 100 feet worldwide, but you can see how people are saying, I see this red car, so I'm going to park by that red car. But this is Van Owen Street over here. And a lot of times I come out of Van Owen here and hang a right. And there's a gas station with, what's it called? E85 or whatever. E80 fucking, I can't believe the ethanol, E84, either, I have a brain fart. And my C6 Corvette, which they don't want me to, they've just spent 7 years or 6 years stealing lots of money and destroying. So there's sort of a whole sub, out of the 100,000 things, there's a sub thing going on with that as well. Okay, so, right, but remember that for everything I try to accomplish, there's worldwide groups trying to sabotage and create mental illness, and Kevin can't focus, and Kevin's crazy, and Kevin's, and remember, it's not just cars, it's verbal, almost every human interaction is met with terror tactics, mimic tactics, repetition tactics. If I go into one place and say one thing, I might go into the second place an hour later. Doesn't matter where it is. The employee will mimic what I said, or they'll mimic what they said. Okay, so the white groupings, I'm heading back at 31% battery. Pairs of twos, we're in the wind with lights on. They just arrived together here by the entrance. Pairs of twos backwards, a red and a black. And there's a lot more sort of grouped together there. These two whites as well backwards, pointing towards the entrance. And remember that we could do this all day, night, 24/7 worldwide. And it's by design that it starts with small groups. And in order to mask it, they have worldwide groups cover it up. And then their argument is, well, everyone's doing it. Or, Kevin, you don't adapt to change. Well, it's not change, it's stalking. Okay, it's directed at someone. I'll just note the red cars sort of possibly trying to get together here. One's backwards, one's forwards. And we already kind of did this area, but remember, people are arriving. And once again, I'll note that some are, some aren't. We got the coincidences versus the intentional coincidences. As we come back, I'll note some things that might or might not be. We have two blues. They're not necessarily together, but they're close. I'm going to note the two whites here, okay, that are sort of want to be together. Oh, also two more whites here, two grays. And when you're looking at the spacing on the left and the right, you're going, that's sort of weird, and it could be totally could be coincidence, because there's like 100 billion cars out there, but three whites here. And now you're going to say, okay, well, if there's 80, and there is, if there's 80% non-coincidences with the coincidences, then they're going to create the paranoia for the coincidences, for the real coincidences. But you can't leave out the fact that someone's trying to do Mike Huntley's death threats in 2001. Mike, what the fuck's going on? World of paranoia. Have a good life now. You better live a careful life. We're using the judicial system against you. You're too out of control for California. And all these crazy things that just came out of nowhere, that he wanted to lure me back from Colorado with my family, my father, my mother, to start a company where they could wire my computer into the hub into my father's office, Golden State Sports Medical, and put agents and Trojans for illegal operations and Wi-Fi hacking and you name it, to try to use that for mental illness and terror tactics. And I gotta land. Two BMWs together